I'm EZRAH, here to walk you through today's burning issues and the biggest stories. Welcome to the Manila Times. The current administration is doing what it can to resist an investigation from the International Criminal Court or ICC on former President Rodrigo Duterte's controversial war on drugs. President Marcos even called the ICC's inquiry a threat to the country's sovereignty. Meanwhile, several groups and lawmakers believe that an outside investigation is necessary to bring justice to the victims of extrajudicial killings during the bloody drug campaign. The International Court tries the gravest of crimes of international concern, such as genocide, war crimes, aggression, and crimes against humanity. Here to shed more light on the matter is counsel for victims attorney Neri Colmenares of National Union of People's Lawyers. Welcome to the Manila Times, sir. Yes, sir. The president has categorically rejected an ICC investigation into his predecessor's drug campaign. How will this impact the decision of the ICC? Can it still conduct an inquiry?
Yes, well, actually, in terms of decision, it will probably bolster the decision of the ICC to continue the investigation because from the situation here, it's very clear that there is no accountability on the part of President Duterte here. So they keep on saying that, well, the courts are functioning. But the question is President Duterte being investigated? Is he being prosecuted? If the answer is no, then the ICC has jurisdiction. That is the rule in the Rome Statute. So can the ICC still continue the investigation? Yes, it can. In fact, it has already done so, even without the cooperation of President Duterte then, who also claims that it's a violation of our sovereignty. This is the problem with pseudo nationalists. When they have China in, they would get China in and even ransack our territorial claims at the West Philippine Sea. But if it's a case against them, they become nationalist and claim sovereignty. That's hypocrisy for me. And the problem is, of course, it's merely hypocrisy on their part, but it's injustice to the families of the victims. Yes, there had been many instances where the ICC continued to investigate despite the fact that the government of the accused refuses to cooperate. By the way, it can continue the investigation in the ICC. It can continue online. It can access documents from various groups and even the victims themselves. It can conduct investigation in a country very near the Philippines, in Southeast Asia, so that it's accessible for the family of the victims to go there and testify. There are many ways to go about it, and the ICC has already done that so many times because the ICC files cases on leaders, generals, prime ministers, presidents. Normally, the accused and the country of the accused does not cooperate with the ICC, so they have to do the investigation without the cooperation of the host country.
Just to repeat, sir, so even though the president of the Philippines himself rejected the inquiry, they could still continue with the investigation.
Yes, they have actually done the investigation. Even during the time of Duterte, the government just appealed to stop the investigation. So it was stopped. But they were already doing that outside the Philippines through various means, just like they did before in many other cases with respect to other countries and other presidents who were accused in the ICC.
Marcos also raised the issue of jurisdiction. Does the ICC have jurisdiction over the Philippines as far as its investigation of the drug war is concerned, considering that the country has withdrawn its membership from the International Court?
President Marcos doesn't know about probably doesn't know about Article 127 of the Rome Statute. Article 127 of the Rome Statute says that all countries, all state members, state parties can withdraw from the ICC. However, any investigation started before the effectivity of the withdrawal shall continue. That was agreed upon by all countries, including the Philippines, when we signed and ratified the Rome Statute, because if there is no rule to that effect, then ICC will be toothless. Every time they file a case, the country just withdraws and that's it. So the international community said, oh, let's put a stop to that. And so they placed Article 127 to say, well, if you want to withdraw, you can withdraw. But any investigation started before the effectivity of your withdrawal shall continue. And that's the case here. The investigation has started before the withdrawal of the Philippines became effective. So the ICC has jurisdiction and we signed to it. We agreed to that when the Philippines signed the treaty. So President Marcos doesn't probably know it. But we've already raised that several times. We've raised that several times And they keep on avoiding answering that. We always point to Article 127 and they don't answer it because they know that there is no other reason or justification on their part to avoid that article which we signed to. If we don't follow what we signed to in the treaty, then we would look like a rogue country under international law and in the international community. Who would want to have treaty with us? You sign a treaty, then later on you just say, okay, I will not follow what I signed, what I ratified. No, that's really difficult. So the question now, we signed it, we agreed with it. Why don't you allow it? Is it because of nationalism? You want to defend sovereignty? Why are there Chinese? Why are there Americans here in the Philippines? EDCA is here. Visiting Forces Agreement is here. You don't complain. But here is a simple case about criminal accountability on the part of a Filipino citizen, and the families of the victims have no justice here. Can you not just respect something that which you obligated yourself to through a treaty, something which is hailed by the international community as a major step towards accountability, the ICC, because what happened in Germany during the World War II, in Rwanda, in the former Yugoslavia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, can never happen again without any sanctions. So, I mean, I don't understand the reason why they keep on defending President Duterte. He's a lawyer. He's rich. He's powerful. So why provide him legal services? I mean, there are many poor people here who cannot avail of legal services because of the low budget for legal aid. Many OFWs go to prison abroad because the government cannot fund legal services for them. And here they are giving legal services to a person who is rich and powerful and is even a lawyer at that. President Duterte keeps on bragging about his being a lawyer, so let him answer that. Anyway, it's just an investigation to use the argument against them that they've been using. If you think you didn't do it, then you shouldn't be afraid. You should be there and just meet it and face it and just present your evidence because you always said that you will defend yourself. You're ready to die for your convictions. So we'll see. I guess it's not dying really. It's just answering a charge against you so that there will be justice naman. And at least the families of the victim can see some light at the end of the tunnel for the deaths of their loved ones.
Sir, how will the ICC proceed with its inquiry if it does not have the Philippine government's cooperation?
It has proceeded before without the cooperation of the host government. I'd like to cite an example. Al-Bashir, president of Sudan. He was president from 1993 up to 2019. Of course, when he was charged before the ICC, the Sudan did not cooperate. But in the end, a warrant of arrest was issued against him. And now in al-Bashir is now in prison and with a warrant of arrest was executed, and he is now in jail. So, you know, it was the president of Sudan, but wala namang forever eh. So, in the end, al-Bashir, the investigation against al-Bashir continued, even if Sudan didn't cooperate. And a warrant of arrest was issued, and now he's in prison. So that's the same thing with many other leaders, the generals who do not cooperate, the prime ministers who don't cooperate. That's what happened to them, and many of them, many of these top leaders of different countries were convicted by the ICC and imprisoned despite the non-cooperation. So yeah, the ICC has always continued and pursued its investigation even without the cooperation of the country of the accused. And there had been instances when the accused, who was the president, as I mentioned, of Sudan, was eventually arrested and imprisoned, even if his country did not cooperate with the ICC.
So I'd like to go further on that and all. So the ICC investigation, its goal is to find out who the perpetrators are, who's responsible for all those killings, thousands and thousands of victims from the controversial war on drugs. So, of course, I must, on this investigation, they will find out who's responsible for these.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
What will
Yes.
happen to them after this? So the ICC gets to these people. What happens then after the investigation, and then they find out what happens to those people?
Well, we are in an investigation stage. This
Mhm.
is like a preliminary investigation. This is similar
So
to a
after that,
preliminary investigation.
so they will issue a warrant.
After that, a trial will, if there is, if in an indictment, then there will be trial, and there can be a warrant of arrest that will be issued
So they will
against President Duterte.
national court. Mhm.
Yes, in the International Criminal Court. So, and then if they're convicted, if the evidence shows that they committed these crimes, then the trial, the International Criminal Court convicts them. Then, of course, they can go to prison, whether it's in The Hague or in another country, depending on how they will be arrested, because the ICC has an article there for the cooperation of all member states. And if they cannot be arrested here, and if they travel, one country could surrender the accused to the ICC, which is what happened to al-Bashir actually in the end. He was surrendered by Sudan itself. Sudan itself surrendered him in the end. So yeah, I guess if there's a trial and he gets convicted, and then he will be arrested and imprisoned depending on the situation. He will be imprisoned either in The Hague, in Europe, or in a country that has arrested him.
So arrested by whom, sir?
Well, the ICC has no police force, although of course, it has a memorandum of agreement with the Interpol. But normally, it's the member states who want to cooperate with the ICC. The various, even non-member states have already done that, no? The US, in fact, arrested one accused from the ICC, even if the United States is not a member of the ICC. So, yeah, it depends. If they go to China, maybe they will not be arrested there. But if they go somewhere that is not really, not really a rogue country, a country that respects international law and agreements, then they could be arrested there. Just what happened to the dictator of Chile, Pinochet, who was arrested when he had a stopover in London many, many years ago. So, it depends on the situation. But the fact that there's a warrant of arrest for you already limits your field of travel, so to speak. And who knows, the next president of the Philippines may say that, well, we have to follow international law. We will surrender the accused who was convicted to the ICC. You can never tell what will happen, but at least the families of the victims can say that partially, at least, justice has been done, at least partially because of the conviction. And the evidence against President Duterte is very strong as far as we're concerned. If he says his evidence is strong, I haven't heard him actually say that, but even if he says that his evidence is strong, then we will see how the trial chamber of the ICC will read the evidence presented before the court.
Sir, you said in a press statement, in NUPL's press statement, the defense is suspiciously premature. So several senators and the president himself has denied the ICC investigation. So you said defense is suspiciously premature. So do you think there are certain people who are afraid of the ICC investigation because of what might happen to certain people who are responsible?
Yes, I think there are some people who fear the ICC. It is premature for two reasons. One is just a preliminary investigation of the prosecutor. That's why they keep on attacking the prosecutor, saying it's insulting and so on. I mean, they're prosecutors themselves, the Department of Justice. If you're conducting a preliminary investigation, could you be attacked by one of the parties? You're just saying, look, there's a complaint against you. I'm just asking for your counter affidavit. So why attack me? That's something that many fiscals can sympathize. Why attack the prosecutor? Under the mandate of the prosecutor, he is supposed to, of course, read into the complaints filed against the respondent here. So that's very premature to attack when the prosecutor was just merely doing his job. Like the fiscal here, who is just holding a preliminary investigation, cannot be attacked for or insulted, because he's doing that. Secondly, it's the defense of, I was referring also to the defense, the resolution of President Arroyo, former President Arroyo, on former President Duterte, that they will protect, what was that? Unequivocally protect the former president. Well, for me, that's really, in fact, some damaging to the cause of President Duterte. Because we can submit that resolution to the ICC and say, look, it's not just the executive protecting the president now, it's even the legislative. So how can the families of ordinary people, poor people, how can they have justice here? They're facing the executive and the legislative, including the DOJ. So yeah, I guess, but that's their place. So, but there's a very simple thing. The only question is President Duterte being investigated here? No. Is President Duterte being prosecuted here, despite all his actions of ordering the police to kill, of saying that if you get arrested, I will pardon you, and protecting them? I mean, if you're an ordinary person, the ordinary fiscal here would have already indicted you, because you're a main suspect immediately. But so all this talk about courts functioning here is already demolished by the fact that there's no investigation and prosecution of the former president. He's not even being investigated, even just a mere investigation. So I don't see any reason why this hula baloo about jurisdiction, about sovereignty suddenly comes into play when they themselves have committed a lot of anti-sovereignty, committed acts which trample on our sovereignty. And my example was China and the United States foreign troops. So yeah, but the family will fight on, and we will continue to submit evidence to the ICC and cooperate until this issue is finished or completed.
Lastly, sir, what do you hope for the ICC investigation, and what is your message to the families of the victims of the drug campaign?
Well, my hope is that this will be resolved soon because extrajudicial killing continues. And I also hope that the Philippines will return someday to the ICC. You see, ICC is in a way also an account is could go against or at least stop impunity because some of those who commit these crimes, extrajudicial killings, could think, oh, we're a member of the ICC, we can be arrested also or imprisoned or charged there. But if we're not there, then another accountability mechanism is lost, and that's really terrible, no? So yeah, well, my message to the family is when we started this case, they started with a question: can we file a case against President Duterte here? And we said that, look, he is claiming presidential immunity. That was way back 2017, 2018. And, if you file a case here, the judge will just dismiss your case because the President Duterte will claim presidential immunity. So that's why it was in the ICC. And they agreed that, I know this will be difficult for them, but they agreed that for justice for their son, for their daughter, or for their kin and family members, they are going to sacrifice a lot. So my message is that we're getting near, and hopefully they will hold fast to the search for justice. And in the end, I always believe that justice will come, and there will be accountability and justice on the part of the perpetrators, and the justice on the part of the victims. Salamat.
Counsel for Victims, Attorney Neri Colmenares of National Union of People's Lawyers. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Salamat. Thank you.